Hello, dear friends. Flagship dates could be linked to the development of other events. Opinion piece. Is this 9/11 critical? Lessons from 9/11. We will never forget. It's the 21st anniversary. Cascade of events. All beings yearn for God. Towards a new millennium of light. The great shift continues to move forward. The purpose of this life is Enlightenment. Discontent is the activation of awakening. Russia accepts Algeria to join BRICS group. Social unrest over the energy crisis in Europe. Moscow is making big money from sanctions. Iran announces discovery of copper reserves. India and China agree to withdraw troops from Ladakh. Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, and Colombia, the most powerful countries in the Americas. Let's start. In Latin American, I mean. The time between now and 11 September is shaping up to be critical according to Steve Biko. The fall of London Bridge has been announced with solemn state funerals, the coronation of Charles and Camilla, and the cancellation of debts by the Bank of Denmark, which is supposed to be a marker of the end of many connections and contracts. According to Judy Bington, the official announcement of her death frees the world from the dominance of the British Admiralty. The Queen's demise could accelerate the independence of Caribbean countries. It could accelerate a wave of independence processes in several Caribbean countries, ready to definitively sever their ties with the British Crown. The step taken by Barbados in 2021 encourages similar positions in Jamaica, Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Belize, Grenada, Jamaica, and St. Kitts and Nevis. New King Charles III pledges lifelong service in quotes in his first address to the nation after ascending the throne. The monarch granted his eldest son, William, the title of Prince of Wales. Charles III addressed the nation on Friday in his first speech after ascending the UK throne. He inherited it immediately after his mother died on Thursday at the age of 96. Operation Unicorn. Details of the British government's plan for the Queen's demise have been reported over the years, but now that the Queen has passed away in the Highlands, a second, lesser-known plan in Scotland, called Operation Unicorn, must first be developed, according to Lyanna Walker. The Queen's body will be carried in procession through the medieval heart of Edinburgh, before a slow train journey past large grieving crowds on the way to London. Rumors. Rumor has it that the organization's leaders have been sacked. It is alleged that the mass arrest began in earnest. The Supreme Court is said to have declared the elections invalid using shadow documents. In this case, a shadow dossier refers to a case heard in emergency circumstances where not all documents are available. The Memorial Day for the victims of 9/11 was the same day that the plan for global abundance was to be announced in September 2001. For some, that day is sacred. For others, it is a great trigger. For all, it means something. The attack was designed so that the famous act was never announced. It is said that some have already been tried for their involvement. Now we are approaching the 21st anniversary of that attack. We are close to declaring redemption again and the fall of London Bridge is announced. Why don't they use this iconic date to announce that we are waiting for? If they don't use that date to the full, I will rub my eyes in disbelief. 10 days of exposure have begun. The 12 days of disclosure could parallel the UK's 10 days of mourning, where the truth about 9/11 could come out. Ascension. Major events are taking place to remove the influence of darkness so that ascension that is part of the divine plan can occur. Its success is guaranteed, but its timing is not. What we are trying to see is that it happens with the lowest possible level of violence. The ascension of the planet is a seed event in the universe. It sees humankind ascending while still alive in the physical body, and is open to all who have the light quotient that allows them to tolerate the higher consciousness configuration. Previously, only individuals could ascend, and then only after leaving the physical body. Now, all that is changing. A new area of Mother Earth's domain of matter is being created as the final home for the entire cosmos under the new house rules. The eyes of countless civilizations are focused on Gaia at this time. The present problem is only temporary, but it is serious and may continue for some time. The work is being handled by specially trained personnel. Our contribution to them can often be simply to stay out of their way, stay safe. The world is not meant for the dark to rule the earth. It is meant for the village to rule directly through the Great Spirit. We are all children of God. All will wake up sooner or later and come home safely in the end. Impulse. The great change, which cannot be stopped at this time, continues to move forward. It has gained so much momentum that those who were the powers and are no longer the powers, even they realize that they have lost control, according to Saint Germain through James McConnell. Are they still holding on? Are they still acting like cornered animals? They do, and they are likely to continue to do so. But as the frequency continues to increase, and you continue to be the catalyst for this increase in frequency, raising your consciousness and bringing back the light and the love to this planet, those who were the powers that be no longer have a future, and they continue to retreat back into the shadows from whence they came. But before they do that, they have reached the higher frequencies and cannot manage there. That is why you are seeing the great turmoil and the great experiences that are bringing an awakening to the population everywhere. For they are seen doing what would be considered ridiculous things. Some would even call them stupid actions that attract attention, whereas before they were hidden from that attention. But now they have appeared screaming in that attention. And those higher frequencies make it seem as if they no longer know what they are doing. The mistrust, the lies, are showing themselves for what they are. And more people are waking up to that distrust. They are beginning to seek much truth, doing the research that you all have done to help them awaken. And as the frequency continues to increase and the consciousness increases, those who are in power will no longer be in power. It is up to each and every one of you to continue to share your light, to share your truth whenever you have the opportunity. And just by being who you are and carrying the aura that you have, when you move into the population. You are bringing that light and sharing it, even with those who have no idea that you are doing it. But you are. And every time you smile, every time you wave to another, and whatever you do, you are helping to raise the vibrational frequency and consciousness of the collective across the planet. As you share with one, that one goes and shares with another, and another. Where there is one, it will share with three, and those three will share with three more each, and so on in geometric progression. This is how the Great Awakening continues to gain more and more momentum. There are special beings who have assumed the leadership role within the light. They are helping to awaken many more, and we will continue this until there comes a time when they no longer need to do that any longer. That time is drawing nearer and nearer. You are on the cusp of a great shift to take you into the new millennium of light that awaits you all. As you have also had, you will have the choice to remain here, to be part of the new expression here on earth, to be part of the new higher expression of Gaia, to continue this evolution forward. Or at any time, you may choose to return home, that home that is calling many of you back to the family that you left long ago. You have a soul family that is waiting for you to recognize them once again. And when you recognize them, they can recognize you and make themselves known to you. If you allow it, they will be able to do so. It takes trust. It takes belief. Even more than that, it takes knowing. They are there for you. Awakening mechanism. Is there a mechanism to awaken us to the beginning of the journey? Asks Steve Biko. The answer is in Michael via Rona. In quotes, it takes a lot of courage and wisdom to venture into the unknown, to have a veil placed over your memory as you begin your earthly experience within a broader spectrum of light and shadow. Your abilities and your true identity were hidden within your sacred heart and mind, and often were not evident until later in life, after you began to awaken to the nudges of your higher self. For those of you who are the markers of the pathway, your earthly mission contract contained seed crystals of the memory of awakening that would be triggered by divine discontent. These seed crystals of divine light were to be activated by your higher self and downloaded into your consciousness when it was time for you to begin your journey of self-discovery. So there is a trigger, and that is the mechanism. Divine discontent is the mechanism of awakening for humankind in general. The purpose of life is enlightenment. According to Sankara, the journey for liberation is the will to free oneself from the bondages forged and by ignorance, beginning with the ego sense and so on, down to the physical body through the realization of one's true nature. According to the pseudo-Dionysius, all things long for God. The intelligent and rational long for Him through the agitation of being alive in whatever form suits their condition. I suspect that for most people, the trigger would be gone after the ring of fire. We are told that our higher self is the one who discharges and activates the seed crystals. Notice when it is time for you to begin your journey. We will begin when it is our time and in a gradual and individual manner. According to Archangel Michael, what you have seen is that you have been given bite-sized chunks of energy, hits of energy, inputs of what you can digest, handle, and bring to fruition. But whatever service we offer, everyone's journey is planned in some way and begins when the time is right. I imagine our guides play the most important role in deciding that, in addition to our Archangel and the Mara. Cascade of events. The cascade of events and the falling dominoes begins with the demise of the Queen. European markets are bracing for a crash that could happen at any time, in a few weeks at most, says Mark Sira. The fiat dollar could cease to circulate in about 3 months. Massive shutdown of metal smelting operations for iron, copper, nickel, aluminium, zinc, and steel. The Storm Rider has been saying for months that peace has already been forged and that we are just watching a movie for a sleeping world. Ever notice how awkward Zuckerberg looks? I once looked at that face and thought, that guy looks like plastic. He looks surreal, strange, and different. How many people wonder, is that the real Biden? Iran announces the discovery of copper reserves of 1 billion tons in the northwestern region of East Azerbaijan. Russia agrees to Algeria joining the BRICS group. Moscow is awash with money. A French press report reveals Russia's oil and gas revenues. French journalist François Lenglet said that Russia earns €3,700 every second from the sale of oil and gas. Thanks to the Western sanctions, prices have risen, triggering speculation on world markets. The trading volume is a little smaller, but at much higher prices, which means making a lot of money, Lenglet said. Earlier, Hungary's foreign minister, Peter Szijjártó, said his country could not be self-sufficient in gas without Russian blue fuel supplies. He explained that buying gas from Russia is not a sign of political support, but the reality of the region. India and China agreed to withdraw troops from disputed border area. The resolution was reached at a meeting in July involving commanders of the Chinese and Indian armed forces. India and China announced Thursday, in similarly worded communiques, that they have begun withdrawing their troops stationed on Border Patrol Point 15, located in the eastern India region of Ladakh, known as Little Tibet, which should help ease military tensions in the area. This is an area where several violent episodes have taken place since May 2020. 4 Latin American countries are among the 50 most capable in the world of exercising so-called soft power, defined as a nation's ability to influence the preferences and behavior of different international actors by persuasion, not force. Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, and Colombia. Europe is at risk of serious social unrest due to the energy crisis. The energy crisis in Europe could lead to the industrialization of the continent and great social unrest, which is why its leaders must take swift action to avoid a catastrophe. On the sidelines of the meeting of European Union finance ministers in Brussels on 9 September, to find a solution to the suspension of Russian gas supplies to avoid blackouts, there are growing voices warning that action must be taken immediately, as the energy crisis will be unsustainable within a couple of months. Countries such as Germany are examples of nations that are seeing companies close to reduce production as a way to cope with the impact of gas tariff increases. The Czech Republic's industry minister, Josef Sikela, said during the meeting that there is no time to lose in reaching an agreement among the 27 European Union member states. Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo backed the agency from the European Union to reach an agreement to help alleviate the energy crisis, something that cannot be delayed for 2 months, the time it takes for agreements between member states to be discussed. Spain. Despite the sanctions, Spain has greatly increased its purchases of Russian gas. Despite the Spanish government's rhetoric, the country increases its imports of Russian gas by 141.3% in July, compared to the same period last year. Russia thus became Spain's fourth largest gas supplier, accounting for 14.5% of all gas purchased abroad, which totaled 36,606 gigawatt-hour, 26.8% more than the previous year. Despite the political confrontation, Algeria remained Spain's main gas supplier in July with 8,572 gigawatts-hour, 47.1% less than in the same period last year. So far this year, purchases of Algerian gas have fallen by 41.9%. The second supplier was the US with 8,530 gigawatts-hour, which is 4 times more than what was purchased in the same month of 2021. In the first place was Nigeria with 5,882 gigawatts-hour, 8 times more than the previous year. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.